We finally saw some football. First time we were able to watch Ohio State football practice since the first week of spring practice. Today, the open practice for Student Appreciation Day. A lot of students in here just sort of ringing the Woody Hayes Athletic Center practice field. I'm Nathan Baird from cleveland.com, along with Stephen Means and Andrew Gillis. And this was our first real chance to watch these quarterbacks really do something today. First chance to see them really go up against a defense. We saw some small windows the first couple of days of practice. Today was an extended look. The rotation was Devin Brown, Will Howard, Lincoln Keenholz, and Julian Sayin rolling in with the ones. Howard and Brown got a little extra time with the ones. Aaron Nolan, the time that we were in here, he went one session. It was just one 7-on-7 session. The rest of the time, he was pretty much a bystander for today's proceedings. But it does give you an indication, as Ryan Day said, that would start to happen of guys sort of being folded around, who gets more time with the ones. But that's still a lot of guys getting time with the ones, Steven. You were focusing on the defense, but that obviously gave you – you were focusing on the rest of the offense. But that obviously gave you a chance to watch what these quarterbacks were doing. What was the most impressive thing or most important thing you saw from the quarterbacks today?
I think all of them kind of show – even the Aaron Nolan thing kind of shows you something, because in the one period we did see him, I thought he was off a lot. Yeah. But I thought Devin Brown looks comfortable, especially over the middle. Ryan David mentioned C.J. Stroud, how comfortable he was in those situations. Devin Brown had a throw, I believe, to Jelani Thurman over the middle, I believe, and it was right there on the dot. Lincoln Keenholz also had one to Jelani Thurman right there on the dot. Somebody had one to Bryson Rogers that was kind of dotted as well. Will Howard seems like he's getting comfortable out there. He lost his black stripe on Saturday, which isn't that shocking that him and Seth McLaughlin, they waited to the second scrimmage to do it, just to get them more in tune with some things here. But I think we have to focus on 2024. I know we have to focus on 2024. I understand that. Julian Sayin looked really good today, I thought. I thought he flashed in a way that, like we've said this before, it doesn't really matter for 24 because that's not a conversation with him. But to the Aaron Nolan point of they're already competing for 2025, Julian Sayin looks ahead right now, both in what we got to see, but then also how this is forming. Julian Sayin is still working in with the ones, not working everybody with everybody, but the fact is he's getting normal reps with everybody else, and he's doing things with it, while Aaron Nolan is not. So while you're focused on this 2024 quarterback battle, because that's what matters most, just keep that in the back of your head right now, almost similar to what we were seeing with CJ and Jack Miller, how it's the future thing, but it does matter because in 12 months, that's what we're going to be talking about.
Oh, sure, Julian Sayin's not part of the 2024 quarterback picture. I'm not ready to say that definitively yet. And listen, he was going fourth in the rotation today, but he looks poised out there. He looks comfortable. At no point do you, not that he doesn't make some mistakes, and not that every throw is there, but at no point do you feel like, oh, he's got to play catch up to get to this level. He looks like, the way I texted it to our folks, he just looks like the future starting quarterback. The future is it's a vague term. It can be any time in the future. But Andrew, as you're watching these four guys go today, the fact that Devin Brown is going number one in every single drill, I thought told me something. And the fact that Julian Sayin was in there in a way that Aaron Nolan wasn't also obviously tells you something about where they're seeing things start to develop here halfway through the spring.
Yeah, one of the things that I was really kind of focused on, because I was watching the defense a lot today, and under siege was probably the best way to put it a lot of the day. Jim Knowles cranked it to 11, in terms of bringing the blitzes. I mean, he was bringing a lot. There was a lot of times there was a free rusher, and, you would need to see kind of film like that to see, all right, did somebody miss a block? Was that whatever? But I thought standing in the face of pressure, I thought they actually did a decent job. I thought Julian, you're right. I thought Julian was really composed. Like whenever there was a breakdown or whenever there was a free rusher coming off the edge or whatever, Julian didn't panic. He looked very calm. He looked just kind of like, all right, run of the mill. I know what I'm doing here. Just kind of everything operated smoothly and as you're supposed to, rolled out, things like that. I saw Devin Brown. I think one of the things that I want to see from him is maybe just look a little bit calmer in the pocket. I think sometimes you see him, he gets the happy feet and he starts, kind of dancing around a little bit. You're like, just be where you are, be where your feet are, and make a throw. And there were a couple throws. I was actually standing, we were like standing right here. So I had the perfect angle for that throw that Steven was talking about where he just threw it right down the seam. You're like, it's a really impressive throw. And you kind of had a different angle of it. So there were parts of Devin that I was really impressed with, but just facing the blitz today, I thought you could kind of pick up a couple of different things. Because again, I was talking to Steven about this. Will Howard's game, running the ball. Like there's a lot, that's part of his game as a quarterback. Devin Brown, same thing. And you can't do that out here because if you hit the quarterback, I'm pretty sure one of the defensive coaches or one of the offensive coaches will hit you in the face. I'm pretty sure that they would very much be upset if you hit a quarterback. So you can't go near him. So I'm curious to see kind of how that would have operated. But again, there were just some elements of facing the rush, facing the pressure that I thought some quarterbacks, notably Julian Sand, but I thought Devin Brown as well, they handled it pretty well.
Yeah, there was one sequence where they were doing a backed up offense against this goal line that the end zone we're standing in, and they took safeties on 3 straight plays. So 3 different quarterbacks, I think, safeties on 3 straight plays, and then the first play of the next period was also a sack. And the offensive line, we'll talk about that in a different video, maybe where they still need to go and how reminiscent this was in some ways of last spring, but maybe not as bad, but also maybe worse, depending on how you look at it. But yes, I agree with you. They were bringing the pressure, and it's as we're trying to evaluate things here today, it's sort of, you try to make it results independent analysis, because sometimes they're out there with the 2s or the 3s or whatever, and they throw a pass that another receiver would have gotten to, whether it's a Mecca Booker or Jeremiah Smith or whoever. So you try to look more at things like what Andrew's talking about, like who's showing that poise, who looks like they're in control, who's got good mechanics and things like that. And my I guess final conclusion on today was, like, you're halfway through the spring, and there's 4 guys here who are intriguing to some extent. You don't feel like even someone like Lincoln Kienholz, I thought, made some really good throws today, and it's a real indictment of the way that Cotton Bowl went, that this is really the first time we can say we really saw Lincoln Kienholz throw against the defense. Like, we didn't really get to watch it that much that night in a real way. And today, even though that the defense was coming, I thought we just got a better indication of maybe what he could do if he had to get back into a game this season. So halfway through the spring, they've got something that they're building here, and the competition is intriguing at the top, but the competition below that is also intriguing. Like, who is kind of carving out a spot on the depth chart, and who's going to be in position to play if needed this fall. We're going to talk a lot more about this on Buckeye Talk, and get the text 614-350-3315. As soon as we were done today, everything we saw and heard, everything we heard from Ryan Day after his press conference was coming to you straight from cleveland.com.